Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American survival horror film from 2025, titled Until Dawn. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie opens with a young woman, Melanie, crawling through a dark tunnel, trying to escape a masked killer dressed like a clown. The killer catches her and drags her back, but she fights him off and reaches the surface. Just as she thinks she is safe, the killer finds her again, and despite her pleas, she is killed with a pickaxe. The scene shifts to 5 friends: Clover, her ex Max, their friends Megan and Nina's boyfriend Abe, on a road trip to find Clover's missing sister, Melanie. Their only clue is a video Melanie sent to Clover after a fight following their mother's death, and they stop at a gas station shown in the video. Megan, who is into psychic stuff, suggests they hold hands to try and sense Melanie's presence, and as they do, a truck nearly runs over the group. Clover goes into the gas station and meets a creepy attendant named Dr. Alan Hill. When she shows him Melanie's photo and asks if he has seen her, Hill says Melanie is missing, and that Clover isn't the first to come looking for a loved one. He explains that several people have disappeared near a place called Glor Valley. While outside, Abe tells the others that retracing Melanie's steps is a bad idea, and some agree it's time for Clover to move on. Just then, Clover returns and tells them about Glor Valley, and the group decides to head there in search of answers. As the friends drive further up the road during a storm, they start arguing with each other. Suddenly, they come across a visitor center that isn't affected by the rain. Confused about where they are, Megan, Nina, and Abe go inside to ask for help, while Clover and Max stay outside. Inside, the trio finds the visitor center empty and decide to split up to explore. Megan goes to the bathroom, and when she tries to use the sink, she discovers the tap isn't working. In the main room, Nina notices an hourglass and a guest book. She writes her name in the guest book and sees that Melanie's name is written there 13 times. While exploring, Abe finds a billboard covered with missing persons posters, including one for Melanie. Meanwhile, Clover walks out into the rain, thinking she sees Melanie, but gets lost. Max pulls her back through the rain wall just as night falls and the hourglass finishes running out. Abe shows Megan and Nina the missing persons posters and points out that strangely, none of them list a last known location. Nina then shows them the guest book, where she found Melanie's name written multiple times, and Clover discovers a sign revealing they're in a place called Glor Valley. Nina grows anxious when she notices that the hourglass has flipped over on its own. None of them admit to touching it. Suddenly, the group hears strange noises coming from outside and is startled to see Abe's car turning on by itself. Unsure of what to do, Nina and Abe decide to stay behind to keep an eye on the car, while Clover, Max, and Megan head downstairs to explore. They discover another house hidden beneath the visitor center. Clover spots a telephone, but it doesn't work, and Megan finds a radio that's also dead. Meanwhile, Nina and Abe begin to hear strange noises coming from inside the center. Abe goes to investigate, but when he doesn't return, Nina goes looking for him, only to stumble upon something horrifying. Hearing Nina's scream, Clover, Megan, and Max rush back upstairs, but they are forced to hide after spotting the clown mask killer and Nina's lifeless body. The killer heads downstairs, and while he is distracted, Max attacks him with a chair, but the killer turns on him and kills him with a knife. Horrified by Max's death, Clover quietly grabs a knife for protection while the killer isn't looking. Suddenly, the killer finds Megan hiding and violently pulls her out, smashing her head against the floor and killing her. Clover stabs the killer in the back and then runs out of the house into the woods. However, she becomes distracted when she sees someone who looks like Melanie. In that moment, the killer corners her and impales her from behind, just as the hourglass runs out. Suddenly, everything resets. The 5 friends are alive again, standing in the same place, stunned and terrified after witnessing their own deaths. To make matters worse, they discover missing posters with their own faces on them. They realize that the night is repeating itself, but with subtle changes, like lights flickering in places where they hadn't before. Suddenly, they hear strange noises coming from the guest room, followed by the front door creaking open and slamming shut on its own. Abe and Max rush over to hold the door closed, and at that moment, Megan begins to feel strange and lets out a loud, piercing scream that plunges the entire room into darkness. When the lights return, Megan is gone. The group searches for her and finds her in the room covered with missing posters, looking possessed. She begins speaking in the voices of the missing people before her body contorts painfully, and she dies again. Just then, Abe, Clover, Max, and Nina hear knocking at the front door, and after recognizing the voice calling from outside, Clover believes it's Melanie. Despite Megan's final warning not to let her in, Clover opens the door, but no one is there. However, the group suddenly notices a dilapidated house across from the visitor center, a house that wasn't there before. Just then, Clover steps outside, and the door slams shut behind her. When the door finally opens again, Max immediately moves to go after Clover, but Abe tries to stop him, warning that it's dangerous and that Clover is possibly dead. However, Max refuses, firmly saying that friends should stick together and declaring he won't leave Clover behind, before going to find her. Meanwhile, Clover regains consciousness inside the dilapidated house, where she finds several mannequins scattered around. She notices a woman sitting silently in a chair and tries to speak to her, but the woman doesn't respond. When Clover tries to leave, the woman, an elderly Glor Valley resident who turns out to be a witch, suddenly speaks. She tells Clover that she can either survive the night or become part of it, then proceeds to possess her. At the same time, Max enters the dilapidated house searching for Clover, but she's nowhere in sight. Determined to find her, he heads upstairs to continue his search. Meanwhile, Abe tries to escape with Nina, but as they drive away from the visitor center, they come face to face with a giant monster. Terrified, they turn back, only to be murdered by the masked killer. As Max keeps searching for Clover, he gets distracted by a rocking chair that moves on its own. Suddenly, the possessed Clover attacks him and kills him. As Clover steps out of the dilapidated house, she is tragically run over by Abe's car and dies. The night resets once again, and the five friends find themselves in the bathroom. Megan is shocked when Abe turns on the sink and water flows, something she had tried earlier but hadn't worked. As Clover tells everyone what the witch said about surviving in the valley, they all start drinking the clean water from the sink. Suddenly, Abe begins coughing violently before he explodes, and then Nina suffers the same fate and explodes too. Megan, Clover, and Max run out of the bathroom in terror, but Megan's limbs start popping one by one before she slowly explodes as well. As Max and Clover panic, Max suddenly explodes too. Bracing for her own death, Clover sees Dr. Hill walking toward her and whispering some cryptic words before she also explodes. When the five friends revive once again, they learn about a mining disaster that happened years ago in Glor Valley. Miners had bored too deep into the earth, causing a collapse that killed over 1,100 people. Max finds a videotape showing a captive man who is slowly deteriorating, trapped in the same time loop the friends are now experiencing. Hill appears on the tape and explains that the captive man has become a wendigo. The five friends realize that Hill is keeping them trapped for the same reason. Hill speaks to them through a radio, tells them that the only way to survive is if one of them dies. Hill then taunts Clover, saying Melanie is with him and that if Clover wants to see her, she must come alone to meet him in the forest. Despite the others warning her it could be a trap, Clover insists on going, and Abe supports her decision. When Clover goes to find Melanie and Hill, Abe suggests sacrificing Clover so the others can survive, pointing out that she had previously tried to take her own life. Nina responds by impaling Abe with a pickaxe and tells Megan and Max to go after Clover. Later, as the injured Abe and Nina talk about their situation, they are both suddenly killed by the clown mask killer. In the woods, Clover gets caught in a bear trap and is dragged away. Meanwhile, Max and Megan search for her but are suddenly attacked by a wendigo, forcing them to run. During the chase, Megan slips on a glass roof that starts to creak, and she is dragged off to her death. Clover, who is still alive, is found by Max and they encounter Melanie, who has now become a wendigo herself. As the wendigo begins to approach them, Max quickly removes the bear trap from Clover's leg, and they run away. While hiding, Clover blames herself for everything that's happened. After finding out that Megan is dead, she asks Max to slit her throat so they can restart the night. Max drinks some water and curses the wendigo Melanie, but then, he suddenly explodes. A flashback shows Clover and Melanie on the last day they saw each other. Melanie was leaving for New York, but Clover didn't feel ready to go with her, and their final conversation ended in an argument. Clover then wakes up with her friends, except Megan, and they keep searching for clues to survive, as their bodies are starting to change like the wendigos. The night starts again, and the group realizes they only have 13 deaths left before they disappear like the other visitors, and this is their final night to survive. Abe remembers recording videos on his phone and plays them back. One shows something growing on Clover's face as she starts to deteriorate. Another shows the group being attacked by a masked figure, while a different one shows a wendigo attacking them, but Max manages to kill it. There's also a video of Nina panicking and crying blood as a siren sounds outside the center. They also find a video of Megan surviving the previous night and following Hill into a tunnel. Suddenly, the siren sounds again, and the group sees many wendigos approaching the house. Determined to confront Hill and save Megan, Clover vows to end the nightmare for good. She arms herself with a pickaxe, and the rest of the group joins her. The four follow Megan's trail to a large tunnel, but soon they're attacked and chased by wendigos. As they flee for their lives, the masked assailant ambushes them, forcing Clover to split from the others to track down Hill alone. After a confrontation with Melanie, where Clover is forced to kill her own sister, she finds herself at the sanatorium. There, Megan is trapped in a room with a chained wendigo trying to reach her. Clover promises to save Megan and heads to Hill's office to find the key. She discovers a set of surveillance cameras Hill has been using to monitor the center, along with a medical report about her and her friends. Meanwhile, Abe, Max, and Nina manage to defeat the masked killer, smashing the clown face's head like a watermelon. At the same time, Clover is confronted by Hill, who explains why he is doing all this. He reveals that he is running experiments and that the creatures they've faced are manifestations of Clover's depression and fears. While Hill places his coffee on his desk and isn't paying attention, Clover quietly moves the cup under a dripping tap with lethal water. Unaware of what happened, Hill drinks the coffee and realizes too late that it's been poisoned. He tries to attack Clover but suddenly bursts into bloody chunks. Clover quickly grabs the keys and frees Megan just before the chained wendigo breaks free. The five friends are chased by wendigos through the tunnel but manage to escape just as the hourglass runs out. As they see the sun rising for the first time, they realize they are finally free from the time loop, and they get into Abe's car and drive away from the center for good. Meanwhile, a surveillance camera in Hill's office switches to a snowy cabin, where a car pulls up and Hill's whistling can be heard. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Until Dawn from 2025. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.